Happy Twintuition Tuesday. It is time for Twintuition Tuesday, you guys. Every single Tuesday, Marla and I are hopping on live. I like when she introduces herself. That's why I was like, gasp. So my name is Carla Luster. Welcome to my page. I'm a mind-body transformation expert. I pop on every single day until June 2nd, 2021. But today, and every Tuesday is special because not only I hop on, but
Marla Luster.
This person, my twin sister Marla, also hops on with me, and we love to hop on and talk about mental wellness. You guys, hey Pamela. Hi you guys. Hey Ken, what is going on? That's right, happy December. You guys, it is the last month of the year. Can you believe it? And we actually get to start it on a Tuesday, on a Twintuition Tuesday, so I'm excited. If you have been catching my lives this week, yesterday and today, on Sunday, you guys, I had a live in my Facebook group. Feel free to join my Facebook group. I'll plug the link below. We talk about mind and body stuff every day. But today, Marla and I are going to be carrying on my topic for the week. I talked about it a little bit yesterday. The topic for the week is regrets. And I think it's an amazing topic because regrets can weigh very heavily on the mind. And we talk about mental wellness every Tuesday. We talk about mental wellness all the time, but on Tuesdays we hop on here to talk about it with you guys. So Marla and I talk about mental wellness all the time because 12 years ago, Marla had a psychotic episode, and it changed our entire lives. It changed everything. And at the time, I did not know very much about mental illness or mental wellness. And when I started to really understand that actually everything was going to change forever, I got really curious about mental illness. I wanted to understand it. And I started to look around and I'm like, well, how do we know what mental wellness is? Because I saw that a lot of people actually have varying degrees of mental illness. Whether it just be, low self-esteem, depression, anxiety, high stress, worrying all the time. You guys, these are conditions that run rampant in our environment. But I always had a really good concept of what physical wellness is. And as we all know, physical wellness is something that is rare, very rare as well with people in our environment. So I just got really curious about it. And I actually have learned a lot, and we've learned a lot. We talk about it all the time. It's literally so fascinating how the mind works. It's so fascinating how individual minds work, So, Marla, are you looking for the camera?
No, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, so it's really interesting to kind of see that. Sherry says, love your matching flowers look. Well, thanks, Sherry.
Thanks, Sherry.
Yeah, so Marla and I like to talk about these topics. We like to also find a quote, and Marla's gonna share a quote, but just so you know, the whole gist of it is we're talking about regrets, the weight on mental wellness, and how to really get complete with it. So I like to say come full circle, or really get to heal and get whole with what our topics are. So we're working on that tonight. Marla has an amazing quote for us to pop off.
Okay. It is, our biggest regrets are not for the things we have done, but for the things that we haven't done. And that's by Chad Michael Murray.
Yeah.
Found it on Bliss Quote.
Yeah, that's good. Can you read it one more time just so we can kind of sink into it? You guys, I'm obsessed with quotes, so.
Our biggest regrets are not for the things that we have done, but for the things that we haven't done.
Okay, so our biggest regrets are for the things that we haven't done, not for the things that we have done. How good is that, you guys? How good is that? So I love that quote because I was talking about regrets the other day, and I was just talking about how really, when it comes to regrets, the thing is that regrets are here. We all have certain regrets, and the way to get full circle with it is to actually be able to extract the lesson. What do you think about that, Marla?
I think that's a great way to view it.
Yeah.
I've tried to find lessons in the things that I told you that I regret. I try to find lessons in that.
Yeah. I feel like once you find the lesson in a particular regret, like call to mind a regret that you have right now. Like if there's anything that maybe happened last year, sometimes people carry regrets for decades even. If you have a regret that you can call to mind, and we all have them, and one of the things I really thought was fascinating with Marla's situation was I saw her do a lot of stuff that, sometimes I was embarrassed, or sometimes I was, almost was afraid to even talk about, or sometimes I felt like it was it was larger than life, horrible. But then in the end, like, everything is okay. She's like totally okay, So, and a lot of it, I just learned so much about myself. I learned so much about life, and I got to see so much about how our minds are so complex that Pamela says ex-husband. Ooh, juicy one. That was a big regret. Okay, was. So she's using past tense, which is cool because perhaps that regret has gotten complete and she's fine with it and she's gotten the lesson from it. But, you guys, our regrets are really, like, a lot of times our best teachers. And we don't go around saying that or talking about that. And if you still are having a regret that you're carrying around, then I think for the most part, I'm hoping that you're hearing this message and you're like, perhaps it's something that it's going to allow you to evolve, or something that's going to allow you to grow as a person and mature and really be able to own it as a lesson. Once you extract the lessons, really can be good. Marla, what's something that I have a couple stories that come to mind that I feel like with you. I know we talk about you going outside naked topic a lot, and I know you had regrets around that, but is there any story or anything that you should think of immediately when we talk about regrets, and especially like coming full circle with it?
Well, I think that I, about 6 years ago, had some things happen where it was a breakthrough time for me, and I decided to go off medicine, and I decided that I was not experiencing things that weren't real, and I decided I was going to what I said was I was going to believe in myself and not in something other than myself. But I think that what I was doing was still investing too much in like stuff I heard in my mind and stuff like that, and I ended up doing some things I regret. Like I was giving away money to people who were asking for money on the street and stuff like that. And I didn't really have a lot of money to give away, so I felt like it was foolish looking back. And also I left where I was staying with Carla, and I decided to take my chances on something else coming through for me somehow, but I was homeless, and I regret that. But me choosing to do the things I was doing, I feel like is inevitable because of just hearing stuff in my mind and taking the medicine and feeling that wasn't quite right. I feel like it was just inevitable that I would try to do something like that at some point. But I feel like I look back on that time and I regret some things that I did, but at the end of the day, I took some chances, and it was an adventure, to say the least. And I feel like I just did something that I shouldn't really regret, but shouldn't really just regret, really, but that I should, trust that I did what I had in my own processing to do.
So I think a lot of times if like should can be kind of a harmful regret situation. So if you do have a should, it's okay to have a should, but I think it also can be a place to heal, and so, or a place to look closer at. Like if this is a should, can I get more complete with this? Is it maybe some more lesson there? Even if you come away with it just knowing that like having a should it's okay, To be honest with you guys, if it was anything that I kind of, from the whole situation with Marla, I really got to start to see that sometimes crazy stuff can happen, but it doesn't mean that that things can't be good after that. Like crazy stuff happens almost to get you from holding on so tightly to how things are supposed to be. So I was having such a hard time because I was like, this isn't supposed to be happening. Like I remember thinking that so many times, this isn't supposed to be happening. And some of the times when Marla, when she just mentioned about her being homeless, it was really cold outside. And so that was actually really worrisome for me. I was worrying a lot, right? And obviously I didn't go through it. So I had no idea what it was like to be homeless and to be, you know, out without feeling like something was going to come through for you and then it not coming through. But I was on the other side feeling kind of guilty, feeling bad. But when we get full circle, when you're able to really see from, you know, looking at the whole big picture, looking at what happened, you kind of can see that you just do the best that you can with what the knowledge you had at that time. And a lot of times you can't, if your reasoning is that, if her reasoning was that she wanted to go off and see what would happen, and she followed it, and she's okay, then in a way that's just what had to happen. And I didn't know what else to do at the time. And but she's okay. And I think the biggest thing at that, if I can like rewind, was I was worrying that she wasn't going to be okay, or that something really horrible was going to happen. And sometimes when we have regrets, when we kind of can look back, if there's something to extract, I think you can extract that things can still work out, things can be okay. And almost always things do work themselves out. And even if it seems like it's not going to, I know there was something you said earlier that I thought was really smart about, do you remember?
I know she's talking about me saying that I shouldn't follow. I was saying that I don't want to say should now, but
it's okay.
But I was relying too much on stuff I was hearing in my mind when I was giving money away, and when I was some things I was hearing about, that I would have unlimited money and stuff like that. I was hearing in my mind. So when I decided to not come back to stay with Carla, but I was relying too much on those things that I was hearing in my mind, and not enough on my own self. And so I don't, I regret that, but I feel like I am sharper with that now, that I would now not do that, not invest in the stuff I was hearing in my mind over my own self.
So you would have gone with your gut?
Yeah,
or I don't know, maybe it's hard to go with your gut.
Yeah, my gut was also believing something else would happen, but I was believing, something that I was believing something would work out for me somehow. But perhaps I was investing too much still in the stuff I was hearing in my mind, I feel like.
Yeah. There's also some things that happen too, like with regret, that I would say journaling for me has been really powerful to try and extract a lesson. But if you do have shoulds around your regret, chances are you can still try some journaling. And by journaling, just allowing yourself to write about, why do you feel like there's a should? And if there's some advice that your regret has for you, to honestly think about taking that advice. Like, if you could take the advice that your regret was teaching you, what would it be? And I think that quote that Marla read earlier is perfect for this. Because the truth is that you can't rewind and change what already happened. You can't go backwards. But you can take the lesson from your regret and live it now. So perhaps it is listening to your feelings. Because if your feelings has you feeling like, oh, that's not going to be, like, listen closer to your heart. I think that was one thing you said, and I liked it. Sometimes we talk about this earlier, and then she says these things, and I'm like, ooh, I like that, So if your heart says, to go for it, and you go for it, and you have a mistake, chances are you're not going to have a regrets that you listened to your heart and it's a mistake. You're going to be glad that you actually took a risk, It doesn't have to be so serious. That was one main thing I took from that. So we have all of these conditions on how life has to be, and not really. Kind of is, kind of things just work themselves out, and overall, I felt a lot more freer afterwards, that things can work out and be okay. Jenny says, hey girl. Hi, Jenny. But yeah, do you want to read that quote again, Marla? Because I felt like it was good.
Okay.
The quote's really good. If you can extract some wisdom from your regret, Pamela, maybe it's from your ex-husband, or if you didn't write your regret in the comments, you don't have to. If you can bring one main thing to mind, if that advice is to just listen to your heart, or to go for it sooner or later, whatever the case may be. Maybe in Marla's case, it's to think twice before you leap. It's a advice for a reason. It's telling you something, and I think that if you extract it, it'll be helpful.
Anyway, the quote again is, our biggest regrets are not for the things that we have done, but for the things that we haven't done. And that was again by Chad Michael Murray. And that makes me feel better, because I have regret for things that I did do, but they were things where I was taking a chance, and things that seemed to be what would naturally happen after my experience of taking medicine and not really listening to myself, but listening to what is the societal expectation and arrangement for me, which was to take medicine and see a doctor. And that's not really what I thought, was that I really needed to do that. I didn't think that I was really, I don't know, I still don't really actually believe in the societal narrative of what's happening, where people are mentally ill. I think it's something else that's happening. And so this was a natural thing to happen, was that I would break from that and say that the stuff I was hearing in my mind and stuff like that was something to use, and it was not something unreal. I was saying that it was real and stuff like that.
So do you mean?
So it seems like it was something that would happen, is eventually I would, invest in my belief in that, as opposed to the narrative that society gives, where you have to take medicine and see a doctor, and you can't go off your medicine and stuff like that.
So I don't know. I don't think that it can be too bad, but the medicine's not always too bad. But I think that there could be some other solutions. Ken says, that quote is so true. Will be very helpful to keep in mind as we evaluate actions in the future. You can also use it to evaluate right now. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of times we have things in the back burner, or a lot of times we have certain regrets that would hold us back from taking actions right now that will lead to more regret. So if you have a regret that is from the past, so you can evaluate right now and take it into mind. If it's holding you back right now in your life, then you can use it, which is good, especially since now is really all we have. Remember, I talk about later being a mirage, and later is just this like mirage. So if you can evaluate your regret and find something that allows you to be more free right now, then it's perfect. Then it's a perfect teacher. Then it's done its job, and you've gotten full circle with it, and you can let it go. The thing is that that holds people hostage the most with their regrets is seeing it as something that is so bad that they can't move forward, that they can't take some other action that potentially would free them from the regret entirely. This is the thing, when everything all works out, when everything really all works out, the regret doesn't have any power anymore. Do you see that? Or does that kind of click a little bit? That if you can really see like, oh wow, that regret actually was a lesson, and if I hadn't learned that lesson, I probably wouldn't have done this. So another journaling thing you could do with that regret, if you're asking it for the lesson, ask yourself what would be different in you, what good actually came from that regret, what would have been maybe not as a parent without that experience. We underestimate our experience, you guys. So often we underestimate our experience when in fact our experience is the most valuable thing in our lives. Because even if somebody tells you to do something like, hey, you should, drink lemon water every morning when you wake up. And let's say you start drinking lemon water in the morning when you wake up and you get indigestion, because you have a sensitive stomach, then your experience tells you that actually that might be great for everybody else, but not for you. So your experience, if it holds regrets, look at the regret. Experience is so valuable. It's more valuable than advice from other people because it's advice from your life, from you. So your experience holds a lot of teachers. And if it's in the form of a regret, you still can learn from it and it still can be amazing and shaping your life right now.
Yeah, that's really good code.
Marla likes it. Marla likes it. Yeah, I hope that you can get this message that a regret is only negative if you don't examine it. If you examine it, can hold something for you that is way more powerful than somebody's advice or reading another book. It can hold something really powerful for you. Because you in your life, you were really like being able to examine things is really powerful. And so many people have regrets that feel so bad that they don't want to examine it. But let's say I understand, but I also feel like there's another step that can take you beyond just having it as a weight on your back. And I like to say those baggages that we carry, those bags, those weights, we aren't meant to carry them. We're meant to climb them, right? Put it down, climb it, and then you can see for miles and miles. Then you get a bird's eye view, right, of what's really going on in your life. Anything else you want to say, Marla?
There's another quote that I thought was really good.
Marla has another quote? Well, you guys, if you have any other regret things you want to pop in, we can I don't know. She and I may be able to share something on it.
Okay, it says, if you are afraid to take a chance, take one anyway. What you don't do can create the same regrets as the mistakes that you make. That's Ayanla Van Zant.
Go Ayanla, that was great. I love that. I love that. Don't let regrets keep you from living your life. And I think so many times they do, right? But I know Pamela's remarried, so maybe not in her case. But maybe she learned some really good relationship things, And we have this thing where we focus so much on the bad things and we don't see what good came from it. But 20/20 vision allows you to soak up the good that comes from those things that seem so bad. If we go to see a movie and it has only all good things and nothing ever risky ever happens, and we get to the end of the movie, we're gonna feel like, that was boring. That was boring. There's no character development from that. There's no great emotion that comes from that. There is no good story, no good movie. And we act like we want to live these lives that are just so bland and all full of good things. But if we lived those lives, we would be bored to tears. We would have no idea of what we were truly capable of. We would be mere just glimpses of what is possible for who we are to be. So when we take those risks, we do those regrets, we look at those regrets, we aren't afraid to move forward, we have some crazy adventures, but we come out the other end more developed, way more developed. We come out the other end more of who we are, kind of gets revealed, our strength is revealed as well. So I think that can be really, really, really powerful and good.
Yeah.
And everything is okay. Marla's been through a lot, you guys. She's been through a lot of things. And sometimes I was just like, oh my gosh. There was one time when she was in jail, and we haven't talked about that yet. But I was just like, oh my gosh. I was just like, I couldn't believe it was happening kind of things. And to get to the other side of it and be like, she's okay. Like, I just want to tell you that it's going to be okay. Whatever crazy business is going on in your life right now that maybe seem like a total snafu, that you get to the other side of it. That you will get to the other side of it and you will be more of an interesting human. That's the catch-22 in life, is that you have to do some jacked up stuff sometimes, or some crazy situations, and you come out of it a more developed human, and more depth and range of personality, which is amazing. So yeah, man. Anything else, Marla, as we start to wrap up this live?
The things that I did, they weren't things that the same as the episodes were. There were things I didn't want to do at all. And so, I agree with that quote by Ayama Van Zant, where she's saying that you, regret the things that you don't do. And so I feel like I am glad that I did take some chances and things like that. So even though I do have some times where I think about what if I hadn't done this, what if I hadn't done that, I would be better off now, but
you don't know.
Yeah, I think about things like that. But I'm doing okay now, and so it was probably, was inevitable that you're gonna be able to, hindsight is 20/20, they say. So, but it's inevitable that some of those things did happen.
And I think Marla's doing more than okay, for my little 2 cents, and it's okay. Go through the things, live the life. It's not some certain way that it's supposed to be. It's just however your life is. And it's kind of cool, But you guys, we are wrapping this bad boy up. So I hope that you maybe have some journaling to do. Journaling is amazing. Don't think it's lame. I remember the first time I told somebody I had a journal, they were like, oh, you have a journal? I've had a journal for all the years. Oh my gosh, I can't even remember. For a long time. It's so healthy. It's so good for us. You guys, I'm popping off. I'm getting ready to open up my 2020 sprint group. I'm super excited. I love doing these lives and being able to talk openly about mental wellness as well as mental illness, because there's just a shortage of these conversations, because we just learn to, like I said the other day, to slap on a smile and ignore the deep topics that go on every day in the world around us. And to ignore them is to ignore a huge aspect of life that deserves to be seen. All parts of life are a part of life, and it's literally mind-blowing, amazing that we live in such a rich, textured, ever-evolving, ever-expanding reality. So lots of people have these experiences, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. It's life, okay? It has all of the shades of gray and all the things. It has all the things. Okay, you guys, so I will see you tomorrow for my 365 live, and then tomorrow or next Tuesday, Marla and I are coming back for Twintuition Tuesday, so we'll see you then. Have an amazing rest of your day, and yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, bye. See you next week.